Hey, hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Make It Rock, the show where I show you how I make it rock and you can too. And let's first of all, let's greet everyone that is here in the chatteroony. We got Forest of the Wolf, welcome. We got Allegratilla, good to see you, Roque Avalaneda, so great to see you. Let's see who else we got here. Denise, what's going on, Denise? Russ 8889, welcome. I got my lovely wife from downstairs. Got lost playing a cheese riff. All right. So good to see everybody here, and hello to anybody that might be lurking out there as well. So Casio keyboards. Put a thumbs up in the chat or something. Hey, Ed Zielinski, welcome. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you've ever owned a Casio keyboard. I have a suspicion that there could be a lot of thumbs in the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. But let us know. I want to see. We got Roque had a Casio. Allegratilla had a Casio. Anybody else? Come on, you know you had them. Oh, there's Leela. Leela had a Casio. Welcome, Leela. We got Tremor Bears had a Casio. Tremor Bear was one of the folks that inspired this one. Russ had a Casio. Hugh Caldwell, good to see you, Hugh. He had a Casio. See, everybody had a Casio keyboard at some point in time or another, whether you play keyboard or not. You had a Casio keyboard, and see, that's the thing about it. It's a great stepping stone, first of all and foremost, because and yeah, you still have them. See, that's all going to come into the fray here as well. And yes, you can join the Chaos Club. You can also leave super chats, super stickers. Those are awesome. Hey, Dan Eckberg, inherited my wife's. They're like hand me downs, right? You get the Casio keyboard. An SA1. Very nice, very nice. All right. So I'm gonna start out here today. I'm gonna play something for you that may I don't know. I might get claimed for this one, but I don't care. So let's start off with this. Not that. Here we go. See, now I had no idea. This is a real song. I had this keyboard. No, it was a real song. It's Nightbirds. And I actually don't remember who the artist. I used to know who the artist was. But the song is called Nightbirds. It's a cool song, actually. As you hear. This is pretty faithful to the original song, actually. But this is the demo for the Casio MT240. I think the cool part's coming up. Is the cool part coming up? Might be after this. There's actually words to this song. And see, I always thought when that change there happens, I thought that was like a different demo, a different part of the demo, but this is still all one song. That's what's crazy about it. Hey Jade, welcome. Thanks for sending everybody over here. Great demo there of Soundbox Entropy Volume 1. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is the good part. Hey Del. All right. So, and actually, it goes on. They cut it off a little bit short there because it does go back. It does the entire song of Nightbirds by the band that I can't remember who they are. But anyway, I had that keyboard. That wasn't my first Casio keyboard, but that was the most memorable demo song. And I used to just love that demo song. And I didn't realize that it was a real song out in the 80s. Yeah, this sign. It's like this groovy, but that's all in the original song. That's what's crazy about it. They did a really faithful job reproducing Nightbirds. But so how did this all kind of get started? I don't know if it was a Christmas present or a birthday present. Sometime when I was probably about 4 years old or so, I got myself I got this keyboard here, this Casio PT100. And there's nothing fancy about this keyboard at all. It's like the most simple unit of keyboard that you could possibly imagine. If there was some taxonomy of keyboards, this is like the most elemental form. So I think you could only play 4 notes at one time on this thing. You got a little volume slider there. That's your little volume slider. You have a few choice. There's not a bossa nova button, but there is a bossa nova setting. So you can kind of hit the bossa nova button on this one. You have tempo up and down, but it doesn't tell you what the tempo is, so you have no idea, and it always defaults back to whatever the default is whenever you turn it on. So it's a little unwieldy in that regard. There is some kind of a demo on this one as well. And then you have, basic sounds, right? Piano, harpsichord, vibraphone. The piano was absolute garbage on this. It doesn't sound anything like. I think the harpsichord was decent. Vibraphone was pretty good. Pipe organ was pretty good. Jazz organ was okay. The flute was really good. The strings were probably the best sound on this. And then you got the synth sound, which I thought always kind of sounded a bit like a church organ. And then you have the Casio chord on and off. Now, this was used in my song, I Need a Home. That's why I performed it on Saturday, because I used this keyboard in the original version of it. And I used the Casio chord because it had this weird, I don't know, it was like a distorted sound. So I used that in the choruses as like a texture, and it worked out pretty good. I mean, considering the technical limitations of the time. I do have, I found a little bit of a demo of this keyboard. Unfortunately, I don't really, I have some of these keyboards still, but it's kind of hard to show on camera. I'd have to really set up all kinds of crazy stuff to make that work. But let's take a listen. So this is, and that's that synth sound. There's your jazz organ. Little Crystal Waters there. There's the string. These strings are awesome. Really good string sounds for a little. So this is your vibraphone. all these sounds are burned into my brain. Hey, DJ Big Red, welcome. And then, oh, there we go. There's some rhythms. Oh yeah, that's the harpsichord sound. That's not. That's actually not that good. It's not. I thought it was decent, but it actually isn't. It's fun though. It's fun. That doesn't sound like a harpsichord at all, though. All right. So there's some examples of that keyboard and what that one can do. It's a fun keyboard, but more importantly, it's a low cost, low risk. If you're a parent, you got a kid, you want to find out, hey, does this kid have any musical talent or what? You could buy him a keyboard. I mean, you're probably not going to buy this model because I don't think it's been sold in stores for probably about, 30 years. But you get him a keyboard like that, Casio, their name you can trust, and they can play around and see if they have musical talent. So I found out, hey, I could start hearing songs and then play stuff back. Which without a Casio keyboard, I wouldn't have known that. And probably without that, I may not be sitting here. I may not have any music to my name. And so that's kind of why Casio keyboards really were really important to my development. And I'd love to see. I don't know if it's still, it's different nowadays because you have iPads and stuff. I mean, a lot of these Casio keyboards really were like, they were like physical manifestations of like a sound font. And especially when they started getting into MIDI, what they started doing was you'll notice all the sound lists have the exact same sounds in the exact same order. That's because that's the general MIDI standard. So there's actually a standard arrangement of sounds that all general MIDI players and things will have. And in the exact, so that's why you always start with the piano, and then you go into like the organ sounds, and then you go into like the orchestra sounds, and then you get into like guitars and stuff like that, and then you get into some of the more exotic and world instruments, and then some synth stuff. That's the general MIDI list. That's standard, and it goes all the way down to like gunshot and that's literally a sound in the general MIDI standard. There's like horse galloping, I think, is one of them. A bird tweeting, now not all the keyboards have those ones, but they'll have the basic sounds for sure. So, I started off with that PT100, and then I got myself this guy right here that you heard in that demo song, the MT240. And this is oh yeah, the dog barks and the siren and the helicopter. Yep. Now this one actually is MIDI capable. This is what was my first introduction to MIDI, was this keyboard here, because I had now at the time I had a like a home organ, and it was a Wurlitzer, but it was a modern one, and it had MIDI out, and I figured out that I could plug a MIDI cable out from this organ into this keyboard, so the MIDI out from the organ, MIDI in on the keyboard, and play these keyboard sounds on the organ. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. That blew my mind. That's the most basic MIDI thing that you could ever do. I wasn't even messing around with channels or anything like that, but just being able to do that was really, really, really impressive. So this was a really nice keyboard. It actually has some really great sound. I still have this one. It's missing a few keys at this point. It's down. I should have brought that one up. But yeah, it's seen better days. But it's still, as far as I know, I probably could plug it in and it would still work. So that was a nice keyboard. There's another view of it. Somebody actually has the. Let's see if we can get a bigger. No, but somebody actually, it's like the original box. Look at that. That's amazing. So, really nice little keyboard. Still has the little tiny keys, but it's got more of them. It's like 4 octaves, I think that one was. 210 sound. So this one actually had the thing where you could layer the sounds together. This was like a high end feature. one sound, layer the other one. No, don't worry about it because it's filthy. It's filthy. I have to clean that thing up. But yeah, the Casio keyboards have really good sounds. Always did have really good sounds. This one had great sounds, and it had stereo. You can see that there's 2 speakers on this. Here's the better, so 2 speakers, you get stereo sound. It even says stereo on there when that was like a big selling point, that it had stereo. It had pulse code modulation. There's probably about 3 people in the world who know what that means, but it sounded pretty good. And the sounds were way better than this guy. So moving up, and then I got this one here. So it's hard to find a lot about this one. I actually don't know what the hell happened to this keyboard. This was at my parents' old house, and I'm not quite sure where it went to. But this is the CTK 450, and this one had even more sounds. It was a 5-octave keyboard range here. So now it's pretty simple in terms of, that's pretty much the controls you got. I don't like this little thing. But that's pretty much the controls you got. You just punch the buttons in. Still no, you couldn't actually set a tempo. You did have an accompaniment volume, so you could control, this one I'm sure had bossa nova on it, by the way. All these Casio keyboards had bossa nova. Even the most basic unit of keyboard, that PT100, had a bossa nova setting. They got you covered on bossa nova. Now this one actually had some pretty decent rhythms in it, but one of the biggest selling features of this one was probably this part right here, the song bank. And see, it was sold as a song bank keyboard, and they had some pretty interesting arrangements of songs that you probably know. And somebody is this guy here, Jern Peak, has some really nice demos of all these songs, and they had cool arrangements. I always was impressed with the arrangements on some of these. A lot of them defaulted to they ended up being polkas, but let's just check out Mary Had a Little Lamb. What did they do with Mary Had a Little Lamb? How did they make that one go? You see, it's a polka. Listen to this little flute. You can't do any of that stuff on this keyboard, by the way. That's the funniest part about it. Yeah, everyone sing it. There's a little ending they put on there. And this guy had all of them, I think. Let's see. Let's go to this one, because I think this one had some fun stuff in it. So row, row, row your boat. They got that. That's a hit song everywhere in the world. People love the row, row, row your boat. Amazingly, they didn't turn this into a polka quite. Listen to that. I'm jazzing it up. And these counter melodies. Yeah, we do a round. The Skater's Waltz. I think this is one of those ones that you'll be like, oh yeah, that song. See, it's that one. Yeah, see? Ed says, my mom has a cheap Yamaha keyboard with demos, and they have those dynamics across the instruments, and there's no way to play those. Yeah, because the next one I'm going to talk to you about actually has a sequencer built into it. This one does not. So unless you have a if you have like a 4-track tape recorder, you could probably do it that way. Okay, that's enough of that one. Let's see what's in there was one more. Oh, yeah, 10 to 17. I think 10 to 17 are going to be the hits. So they got like I love this one. The Entertainer is really good. Hey, we're a polka again. It's all a bit oompa, you know? Oh yeah, this one here they had Londonderry Air and or Oh Danny Boy, you may know that. I think this was a pretty interesting. Listen to this intro. What? That's a wild intro. This is all just the intro. Yeah, it could be anime music. And this has, it goes back to that crazy stuff at the end. Big dramatic ending on that. So that's just some of the fun songs. Wait, where is I have to do what happened to the what is that called? The Turkish March. I need the Turkish March. We have to do that. Did I miss that somewhere? I think I did. Okay, here we go. This actually, see, this has like this is some of the classical stuff. Like it's got like Bach and, but the Turkish March is I think the crown jewel of this keyboard in terms of all these things. Rondo alla Turca. Of course, it's a polka. that nice change up there. There you go. That's it's a Turkish march on there. Pretty awesome. So, so I moved on from this keyboard here, and then I got this bad boy right here. And what I love is, yeah, slow it down and have a whiskey. What I love is this. This is actually on Casio's website. This is from like 1990 whatever. 1990. I think this came out around like 96 or so, and they still have it on their website. That that's commitment. You can't find. I bet if you went on like if you went on some of these other Korg or something like that, they might not have the synthesizers that they were selling in 1996 on their website. But the CTK 601, now this was getting into the serious stuff, because this has a synthesizer function in it. I mean, it actually has like a pretty, like, it's a fun little synthesizer that's in there. And you could so every sound that this had in it like was built on these waveforms. So you could go in there and you could pick out different waveforms, and you could actually layer two together, and then you could apply all these different like amplitude envelopes, and you could actually learn some things about synthesizers with this. Now it doesn't have. I still have this keyboard, by the way. It's in there. I used it. I did a show. I think it was maybe the 200th. I think it was still called Thomas Christ Live at that point. I think it was my 200th show, and I did the songs kind of the way I did them originally. It is a bit rough around the edges, but I used this keyboard as part of that, along with the Yamaha DJX, which was an incredible keyboard. I probably should give that an honorable mention, because I think that's the favorite keyboard of all the keyboards I have. But this is the second favorite, and I mean, this one's got 200 sounds in it. It's got 100 different rhythms. A lot of these rhythms were used on Thomas Christ albums. Now, the one thing I always kick myself about, and because I only learned this fairly recently, is that this sucker has a 6-track sequencer in it, and I didn't know that. And I wish I had known that back then, because I could have like sequenced up my songs and then performed, because I was all just playing stuff live, and I could have sequenced stuff up in the sequencer, and then recorded the vocals like over top of that, which would have been way better than what I was actually doing. So I didn't know that was a possibility. But hey, it's Pete Johns. Welcome, Pete. Good to see you. I know Pete's excited because the Rangers are kicking off here in about 30 minutes against the Penguins. I don't know who's going to win that game, but yep. We'll see what happens. I don't know anything about what the Penguins are doing right now, or if they're going to be good or not. We'll see. It's the NHL, you never know. But yeah, this has this had a pitch bend. It has the weirdest pitch bend that I've ever seen on a keyboard. Because you can it's not a wheel, it's 2 pads. So you push on the pad and it makes the sound bend up or down, and you can control the pitch bend range. That's a feature. That's a setting in there. But it's weird because you can't really control it too much, because it's only based on like how long you press the pad for, kind of thing. So it's kind of like an on-off pitch bend, which is a very weird way to do a pitch bend. But it's got that. It's better than no pitch bend, I guess. It's got the musical information system, which is what they call the LCD on the LCD screen, is the musical information system, which sounds a lot more sophisticated than what's actually going on in it. But shows tone, rhythm, metronome, tempo, beat, keyboard, note, display, staff note display, chord form name. Yeah, it actually shows the chord names, which was a pretty cool thing. When you're like, what's that chord? And you didn't have Logic. You couldn't just like play your MIDI keyboard into Logic back then. So you had this keyboard, and it would do basically the same kind of a thing. 16 channel display and more, and all in this tiny little screen that isn't much bigger than what you're seeing right here. Very small little screen, and mine's actually busted, so I have to kind of like read between the lines of what's happening on it, because I can't see everything, because it's like when those displays break and the stuff kind of melts everywhere. It's kind of like that. But yeah, 200 rhythms. Like again, the synthesizer, the audio accompaniments with a variation, fill in, synchro. I mean, this is a pretty feature loaded, and the sounds were great on this. I wouldn't hesitate to say that it's great. So very good stuff. I also had this one, and this is kind of an interesting one because. And this is how to fix unresponsive keys for this Concert Mate 980, I guess it is. So this one here, I got this in college. When I first went to college, somebody was advertising that they had they were advertising it as a MIDI controller keyboard. They're like, forget all the things that are on the actual keyboard itself. It's a MIDI controller keyboard because it's a keyboard. It had MIDI. So I had to get this because I think I only paid like $5 for it or something. I was like, I'll get it. Now, you may see that, well, this is a Concert Mate. That's a bit weird because we're talking about Casio keyboards. But here's the thing. Casio had some kind of a deal with Radio Shack at this point in time in like the late 90s, early 2000s. They had a deal with Radio Shack. I think it may even go back as early as the 80s. But they would sell some, like, basically what would happen is there would be, and there probably was, an equivalent Casio keyboard to this one, and they just were allowed to put the Concert Mate branding on it. So it looks exactly the same and sounds exactly the same, does exactly the same things as whatever the equivalent Casio keyboard was, but it was called a Concert Mate because it was sold by Radio Shack. So, remember Radio Shack? R.I.P. Radio Shack. That was a great place. But yeah. So let's see if we can zoom in a little. Oh wow, we can really zoom in on that. So I could tell you about I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I did too much with this. It's not bad though. It's not a bad little keyboard. It has a musical information system on it. It's not quite as sophisticated as the other one. This one did have the oh yeah, this one has the song thing too. But it's got way more songs on it. Like it's got Superstition. It's got The Girl from Ipanema. I think some of these ones are the same as that other keyboard that I showed. Like it's got the Nutcracker on it. It's probably got the Rondo alla Turca somewhere on here. Yep, Turkish March, Mozart. I was trying to figure out who wrote that one. Mozart. It's got the Wedding March. So it's got the Entertainer. So it's got a lot of those same songs as that as the this one here. But it's got a whole lot more. And you got Johnny Comes Marching Home, you got Oh Christmas Tree, Killing Me Softly is on there. I should have recorded some of these ones. I still do have this keyboard as far as I know. It still works. I think it's a little it might be a little staticky when you plug it in. But it still does work. So that one, that's an interesting keyboard there. And then we'll get to this isn't the last. This is kind of out of order a little bit, but I wanted to save this one for second to last because this is the Rap Band keyboard, and I had this too, and I wish I still had it. The girl with emphysema. Ali says, Radio Shack was right next to the first music store I worked at. Yeah, that was great. I mean, you go to the mall, you get the music store, you got the Radio Shack, you got everything that you needed. And now you got to go around and order stuff on the internet, which, This is fine. But it's cool to actually go into a store and see stuff. My band in the 2000s got our first mics from Radio Shack. Oh man, I got all my stuff from Radio Shack, dude. I got everything. I got a mixer. I had a PA system from Radio Shack. It was the only PA system I ever had. I don't know if it still works now, but I'm not sure I would try to plug it in because it's been stored in like garages and stuff, and I don't know. But it was an Optimus brand. All this stuff. I still have the mixer. Actually, I think it's in that closet back there. Yeah. It's fun stuff. But this Casio Rapman, the world's first rap keyboard. I'll just read what it says here on this. This is on the synthmania.com website. It's a good website. This is one little Casio keyboard that I remember fondly from the early 90s. Rap was at the top of its popularity then, and this fun keyboard allowed anybody to become instant rappers. And for me, that was like, at the time in my life when I had this, that was like everything I could ever ask for. It had the voice changer on it. So you could, because I was, and that was great because I was a little kid and you try to rap and you're like, yo, hey, everybody, I'm rapping. Your foot is tapping because I'm rapping. And, it's great to be able to put it through a voice changer and make it lower so you don't sound like a little kid anymore. Trey Verde, hey, welcome. My Casio is from Toys R Us back in the day. Yeah. Toys R Us, that was a good place to get some Casios. Pete John says, my first mixer with the little 4-channel Radio Shack solid metal one that ran on a single 9-volt battery. I think 90% of us had one. Yeah, I don't know if that's the same one I have. Mine plugs in, but it might run on battery too. I'm not sure. Yeah, you sound like Mickey Mouse. What's up, kids? Yeah. One of the best features of the Rapman is the voice effector function. This changes the pitch of the sound being input through the microphone. Yes, there's an extra cool. Yeah, it did. It came with this little tiny little microphone that went into like a 1/8 inch jack. So onboard speaker is powerful, and there was a headphone output on this, which is amazing. Because a lot of these Casio, especially the smaller ones, didn't have it. It's got the little scratchy wheel on it. It could do 2 sounds. It could do the scratch, which was basically like, or you could do the voice changer or the vocoder sound, which was weird. And whenever you scratch, this is one of maybe the worst feature of this was whenever you scratch the little record thing. If you were playing a beat on the keyboard, like one of the auto beats, it would stop the beat, which is very weird. You'd be like, and then it's like, okay, that's just like it happens in songs. No. But yeah, you had a couple sounds on it. The sounds were, the sounds were the sounds. I guess you could listen to them on here, can't you? Yeah. So that was your what was the fun one? The wah voice. Do they have there was that one bass that was pretty good on here too. The electric bass. Yeah, that was a good one. Car horn. Yeah, it kind of sounds like it. Ambulance. And then emergency alarm. I think that might have had a split. Oh, here's the vocoder I was talking about. This guy says, "Incredible, the best sound on the Rap Man." Yeah, maybe. And that was the sound that when you scratch the wheel, if you had it in the alternate mode, it would make that, but it was only 2 notes that it would go between. So, um, interesting stuff. So Trey Verity said all my piano stuff is played on it. It has MIDI. Very nice. And Charmer Bear said Casio's model was a synthesizer design, so a musician doesn't have to be a technician. Yeah. Um, and yeah, they had some higher end stuff like the CZ 101. Of course, I'm talking about the stuff, and here's like some of the beats that were on this. I mean, you could probably hear like Dr. Dre just about to come in on this. You know. Some of these were a bit questionable. I like this one. And some of them were just the straight beats, and then some of them had extra, like, instruments already built in. Oh yeah, heavy rap. Oh, this is that heavy rap. I don't know. That might be too heavy. That might be too heavy. So like, it's a fun is this an official? Oh, it's a real video. We were just talking about this the other day in Pete's GarageBand Weekly show. I mentioned about we take this YouTube thing for granted where I can do all this stuff and you can watch it. And I was thinking back in the day when you wanted to watch like a music video from a band and they would have it on their website in this tiny little square, and it was like a real music player that was embedded in the thing. And you'd sit there and you could almost watch it. You could almost make out that there's music and there's things happening in the video. You're like, "Yeah, I think that's the video." It's not quite like on MTV, but yeah, we've come a long way. It's hard to believe, but we've come a long way. Then there's this little guy here, the Casio SK1, which I had one. I think I still do actually have it, but it wasn't mine, and I borrowed it from somebody. Anyway, but yeah, this was a fun one to play around with. It's not too dissimilar from this PT100, except for that it has this thing. It's got a microphone in it, and it's the most simple unit of sampling that you could imagine. So this is mind-blowing stuff. 1980s, I think this thing. Or 80s or early, it probably was the 80s, I think, this one. Mid-late 80s. You could buy this keyboard. Probably wasn't super, like, now these things are really expensive because, like, big-name artists use them. But you could record one sound into this thing, and you had, like, I don't know, it was like 5 seconds maybe. I'm sure the sample rate, I don't know what it was, but it was probably very low. You record into this microphone, and you can play it back. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to record like fart sounds and stuff and play it back. Every kid in the world was doing that, man. But some people actually use, and you can even loop on this thing. you could actually record a sound and then loop it. Now, there's no, I mean, you can't control the start and end point, so it required a little bit of finagling. But you had you got a basic sampling keyboard, and this was, this was on space age technology back then. Holy shit, I can record into this keyboard. What the hell? I don't care. You could record into this thing and then, play it back. You could record yourself saying bad words and play it back on the keyboard. What the heck kind of stuff is that? I wish I had one of these when I was a kid. I would have played. I don't know. Hello, Jenny. Welcome. I don't know that I probably would say forget the Nintendo. Give me this thing. I'm gonna record my voice into it and annoy people with it. Yeah. But this had all the little, I'm sure it's got a Bossa Nova button on there somewhere. I'm not seeing it, but it's probably there. Yeah, there's some rhythms. But that's not why you got this keyboard. You got this keyboard because of the sampling. And you only had one sound, and when you shut the keyboard off, I think that sound went away forever. So it had no memory of any kind. But you press the little sample button there under tone, and it would play back your sample. And that's all it needed to do. There's no mystery about this. So 8-bit PCM, sample rate of 99.38 kilohertz. 1.4 seconds. I greatly overestimated that we weren't at 5 seconds yet. We were at 1.4 seconds. And you did have a line level input. Wow. I forgot that it had that. That's pretty sophisticated. That was pretty sophisticated for a keyboard. It was sub $100, equivalent to $290 today. So yeah, not super cheap actually, but not super expensive compared to what sampling. I mean, if you got a sampler back in 1985 when this came out, you were probably talking about several $1,000s. I mean, they had like the Fairlight synthesizer. That was what everybody was going crazy about back then. And these things were gigantic, and they had like a computer built into them. And those things were selling for as much as a house. Like you could either buy a house, or you could buy a Fairlight, or you could get this thing for like 290, for $100. In back in those days, money. So yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. And you also had some of these really basic kind of synthesizer things were happening in this one too. So it had like an additive synthesis voice on there, and you could use some preset envelope. So this is kind of like you could see like these threads through things Casio does, where this comes out to what this keyboard could do, the CTK 601. Not it you could see the common thread there. But SK1 classic keyboard, a lot of people use those. And what's really cool is this circuit bending website, and this is where I've been getting a lot of information from. The circuit bending wiki, they have a list of Casio keyboards. Maybe I will just copy that and I'll put it in the chat for you, so you can check that out. There it is, the list of Casio keyboards, and it is extensive. Look at all these keyboards these guys made. That's a lot. Over about this probably covers like a 20-25 year span. That's quite a lot of keyboards. And the weirder ones are the ones that I'm most interested in, that I would probably still be interested in getting now. Because there are some, I mean, there's ones, and I'm sure they're on here somewhere, that have like a tape deck built into them. Now, here's like the higher end ones, the CZ models that were only in the 80s that they had these. So really fancy stuff. Hey, Jamie, good to see you. And then you had these. So this was Clones. Casio licensed several of its keyboards to other companies in the 1980s to be sold under different brand names. So this is where we get into the realistic concert mate models, and then they show you the Casio equivalents. So you could either have the concert mate version or the Casio version. They're the exact same keyboard. A lot of these look very familiar to me. There's even the Rap Man keyboard was also sold as the Rap Master under Concert Mate. Exact same keyboard. So there's the CTK 601. That's the one I showed you. I got that right back in the closet there. This is also sold as the Realistic Concert Mate 1000. So it's an interesting thing, but they also did the same thing. I think this was mostly in Europe with Hohner. So you could either get Casio or you could get the Hohner equivalent. There's the Casio MT240 as a white. This is wild to me. So this is the same keyboard as this, but it's Hohner brand PSK10. Exact same keyboard though, in white. I kind of want. If somebody offered me that for $20-$30, I might consider it. That's pretty cool looking, I have to say. So yeah, a lot of awesome stuff, and that's not even scratching the surface. And I don't even know that that's all the Casio keyboards I had. I probably had other ones that I forgot about, or I haven't had them in so long that I forgot they existed. But yeah. So anyway, that's kind of my show. It was all started because something was mentioned in Jade's. We're talking about keyboards and stuff, and I think Tremor Bear in the chat mentioned something, and I thought of the Casio keyboards, and then I was like, oh yeah, I should do a show about because I got to thinking about how important Casio keyboards were to my music making, how important they probably were to so many people's music making, and how important they don't really they become the butt of jokes a lot of time. And the Yamahas too. Yamahas has a very similar thing, and it's interesting too. I've heard of Hohner, Hugh. They make great harmonicas. I think I've heard of Casio, the TC origin story. I should make a documentary or something. But yeah, I got to thinking about how important the Casio keyboard was to me and so many people, and I don't know if they have the same value today with iPads and stuff, but they probably do, because there's something about you can tap keys on a screen all day long, but that's not really giving you the real sensation of actually like playing on a keyboard physically. But Yamaha does make great musical instruments, and so does Casio. I think Casio doesn't get the respect they deserve sometimes for all these great keyboards they made. Some of them are very weird, very strange, very niche, and very fascinating. Well, I talked about, you had the SA2200. I talked about one of my favorite keyboard is the Yamaha DJX keyboard, which I might have to do a whole show just on that, because that thing is weird. It's really good. It's really good, but it's weird. It's like a keyboard made for techno music in about the year 1998, 1999. It's very specific. It's very specific, but it's got some cool sounds in it as well, and so do all these great Casio keyboards. Man, get a Casio keyboard. If you had one as a kid and you haven't had one in a while, they're everywhere. Go to a yard sale, you'll find these things. You see how many models they made. They're everywhere. You can find. Now, some of them are harder to find than others, but they're generally pretty easy to find because they're widely sold, and they're so reliable. These things, I got ones that I got as a kid, and they're still playing. So, apparently there's some quality there. The DX7, that was a classic one. But anything you could make music with is a welcome tool. And I just think these are great things, as not only like affordable, because keyboards and synthesizers especially, you've seen How much are the Rolands? How much are the Korgs? How much are the Arturias and Moogs and so on and so forth? Very, very, very expensive. Not, even the most entry level ones are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But you could probably still go to, not exactly sure where you'd Amazon. You could go to Amazon. You could probably buy a Casio keyboard that's perfectly decent for like 50, 70 bucks, maybe $100. And, especially somebody just getting started in music, it's not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. So I tip my cap to Casio, and they're always going to be a big part of what I do. Dig Aunt Carol's keyboard out of that basement and mess around with it. It'll be fun. Anyway, that's the show. Got You Rock TV debuting tomorrow. I actually have to do some filming for that tonight because I'd hoped to get it all done last night, and of course I bit off more than I can chew, but I will get that done tonight and we will premiere it. Anybody that submitted stuff after late evening last night, I already have the list made up, so you'll be on consideration for next week. But I think it's going to be cool. I'm really excited about this show, and I hope keep an eye out for it, because unfortunately it's a premiere, so I can't put it up until it's actually done. So there's no placeholder or anything. So make a placeholder in your mind for You Rock TV. It'll be tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be debuting, and we got great songs. Brad Example's got a premiere on there. All kinds of great music, and I'm excited to get started on this new era of You Rock. So I hope you'll join me for that. Jade Star has a members only stream up next. You'll be dumped over there, and of course, don't miss Leela's performing tomorrow. Jade has got a show tomorrow, and then You Rock TV. That's about all I got here. Much love. Take care. Most importantly, keep rocking, and I'll see you. Good night, everyone.